Sparking Change for Harmonious Living is a TV show that inspires action. It motivates you to start a journey towards a more balanced, fulfilling life. This show explores well-being through spirituality, mental clarity, and physical health. It covers topics like mindfulness, nutrition, fitness, and spirituality, giving you practical advice to enhance your life. Tune in for a transformative adventure that ignites the change you seek.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sparking Change for Harmonious Living. I'm your host, Giovanna Tartarone.
And I'm your co-host, Ahmed Bahman.
Welcome, Ahmed. And
Thank you.
today we're going to continue to talk about Thrive, and we're looking at resilience, finding strength in adversity. You know, this is tremendous because I don't know anyone who doesn't go through life without some kind of adversity in their life. So I'd like to talk about this because I think it just makes us stronger. It helps us to grow and grow our faith, and also just, have more power over ourselves. So let's talk about that.
Absolutely. And it takes me straight away back to Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill,
Mm-hmm.
when he said, every adversity, every failure, every heartbreak carries with it the seed of an equal or greater
Greater
benefit. Now,
benefit. That is my favorite quote.
and he said, like, you may not see the equal or greater benefit right away, but the seed of its equivalent is there, which means there's a starting point
Yes.
for something yet greater to come.
And I'm the proof of that. I'm the proof
Yes,
of
you
that
are.
because I've had my own share of adversity in my life. And I see myself now just living life more authentically, more peaceful, and also just trusting that there was a reason why the adversity had to happen in order for me to become who I am today. So,
Absolutely. And when you speak of seeds, the life cycle of nature, I mean, it has to move from seed to stem to blossom and then to
right.
fruit, right?
Mhm.
But everything operates by law. And the reason why you overcame your adversity was that you understood the law and you put the law into practice. So you have benefited. It
Right.
wasn't too long ago when I was observing nature and I was, speaking to myself and I go, how beautiful is it that when you look at nature, nature does not know any surrender. It is always moving in accordance with a no matter what attitude because that's the purpose it's been built to do. Uh, nature is always
Mm.
governed by law. However, we as individuals must deliberately choose to work with the law. Just like the tree usually unfolds from within itself through expression from its tips and roots. The
Right.
subconscious may feel that this is our roots, and then whatever you express outwardly, it's basically from the tips. But it becomes bountiful over time
Yes.
because you're nurturing it, right? So when it blossoms, its shoot from its stem, and thus it starts to give you its fruits.
And you said the magic word, Ahmed. You said nurture, right? It's
Nurture.
about we also have to nurture ourselves in order to blossom. And what does that
Absolutely.
really mean? Because when adversity does hit, we tend to more stay away, feel bad, you know, look at all the reasons why, why this had to happen. Like we don't see the light, we're living in the dark. And as long as we're living in the dark, when adversity hits, it really prevents us to understand that it's, calling for change.
And this is where it reminds me of Bob when he said, stop thinking of the reasons, even Earl Nightingale, stop thinking of the reasons why you can't and starts thinking of the reasons why you can. And
Yeah.
when we're discussing in terms of, okay, what does that mean? That means that you're starting to become more resilient with the thing that you want, the good that you desire. So resilience can transform into an opportunity for growth. But the more we think in terms of opportunities or possibilities, we will start to attract these opportunities into our life,
Mm-hmm.
because everything is governed by law. Now, there is a cause and effect. The cause is in our own thinking, it's in our own feeling, it's in our behavior, it's in our paradigm. So, until we align ourselves
With
to
what we
stay
want.
aligned
Mm-hmm.
with the things that we want, everything else starts to fall in our own alignment for us. Because not everything that happens to us, but everything that happens for us.
And that is one big thing that I had to come to, sense with and understand that it's not happening to me, but it's happening for me.
Yes.
And, we don't think that way. But when you start to be, to look back, like if I look back at all the things that I went through in my life, I can connect the dots now. Now, and Steve Jobs says that, right? He says you can't connect the dots going forward, but you certainly can connect them going backwards. And I can
Absolutely.
definitely connect the dots of why I needed to go through all my adversity to be here today. You
And
know,
go ahead.
so I was just gonna say I volunteer at the a breast cancer center. And again, I wouldn't be there volunteering if I didn't go through my journey to help others go through their journey. So it's
And
all about the experiences that we do have. We have to know that there's a reason for it. It may not
yes,
at the time be something that we want to hear or accept, but the truth of the matter is we don't go through adversity for no reason.
absolutely not. And when it comes to resilience, resilience is also about commitment instead of convenience. Let me repeat that again.
Mm,
Resilience is all about commitment instead of convenience.
I love that. That is so beautiful. And to yourself, can we add a little more?
To
To
yourself,
ourselves.
to ourselves, yes.
To ourselves. Love that.
I want to share a little story. Again, it's in the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And you'll find in that book a section where it says 3 feet from gold.
Oh, Bob used to mention that story all the time. I love it.
All the
Yes.
time, absolutely. So we had an uncle of a person called R.U. Darby. And this was in Colorado during the gold fever rush during that time. So this uncle used to, if basically found that according to whatever was being spread around, in the community, he decided to get his pick and shovel and start digging for gold. And as he was digging into the mine, after several weeks, he found an ore of gold. But he needed one of those cars, to help him, and some machine, of course, to chip it out, which makes it easier in order to pull it out. And he kept it to himself for some time, but then he went back to his family and neighbors, and he was financially a bit stuck, so he needed some money. So, out of their faith in him, they've invested into buying that type of machinery. So he went back to the mine and started chipping away, from one car. He got another car, and he kept going till the point where he managed to pay everyone off eventually. But it took quite a bit of time. After some time, the as he was digging, he lost the vein of gold. Just no matter how far he was excavating, he wasn't discovering anything else coming out from that mine. So what happened? He decided to give up. Now, when he quit, he took all of his cart and machinery and went to the junk man, who had a junkyard, and he sold his equipment for a few $100s.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you ask me, is the junk man usually smart? Well, not at all. But this one in particular
Mm-hmm.
seemed not to be in that category of a person that's not being smart. So what he did, though he didn't have that intelligence, he hired a mine engineer to go to
The site.
the mine itself and, to see what really happened. And he usually told them that, well, they must have hit a fault line. Usually this happens in gold veins within the earth. So he said, as per, how far they've excavated, it should be within, you'll probably hit another vein of gold within the next 3 feet. And so it was. Now eventually this junk man managed to earn millions of dollars from where someone else had previously surrendered. Now, what did Napoleon Hill tell us? He said, a winner never quits and a quitter never wins.
That's right. And again, when you're going through adversity, right, you find the strength to keep going no matter what. No matter what. And it's also building that faith, right? The man didn't have any more faith and he decided to quit. So when you quit, you are separating yourself from, I believe, from your own strength, believing that you can do it, or you can get well, or whatever adversity you're going through. Having resilience is really leaning on the side of faith versus fear, because the man
Absolutely.
obviously had fear that he spent so much time, so much money, and he gave up. So being strong, or finding your strength and resilience, is really also building your faith in the impossible, whatever it is you're going through, knowing that there, you can make it. Because again, who said it? Henry Ford. If you think you can, if you think you can't, you're
You're right.
right. So it comes down to what we say matters. What we say to ourselves matters. I know my own journey. I connected more to my faith, my soul, my spirit, whatever you want to call it, to help me get through my adversity than anything else. And now this is how I built my own spiritual practice, is connecting to that every morning, so that whatever adversity comes to me, I know I can be stronger in tackling it, and I don't react. I respond to things now, which is feels so
Yeah.
much better for sure.
You have resilience again. And whenever people have a goal, it's easy to start anything. It's very easy, but it requires resilience, which is commitment to finish, right? L- In times of adversity, what is the one law that I would like to suggest is for everybody to understand what is the law of polarity. Now, Napoleon Hill stated it beautifully initially when I stated this code. So, there is always an opposite to any condition and circumstance that you may go through. Instead of worrying about something, saying, what if this happens? What if that happens? If you just shift your perception by using the law of polarity to its total opposite and generate something positive within yourself and say, what if that would happen? How much my life would change if that happens? What you're doing right there is that you're empowering your own belief. You're adding more faith. You're giving yourself a healthier suggestion so that you can propel in the direction that you want instead of being stagnant and stuck.
A lot of people say that change is hard, right? But you don't have to take a big giant step into change. You can take a little step, and you can do
Absolutely.
something every day. If you really want to change the thinking to the opposite, because it doesn't feel good when we're thinking negative. It doesn't feel good when we're worried. So why not step to the other side? People say, oh, you have to be realistic. Realistic is whatever you want it to be. You create your reality. You create what we're, through our perception, through our beliefs and our emotions, we create everything that we are going through. So if we want to feel better, we have to create that.
Napoleon Hill as well stated, he said, change is inevitable. Whether you decide to change or not, change will happen regardless. But he also said, personal growth is a choice. It's very important to remember that no matter where you are, no matter what your condition is, you have the ability to choose the thoughts that you want to have, to hold on to these thoughts in order to choose the desired feelings that you wish to emit. And, a lot of people, in terms of, you mentioned fear. Well, fear is nothing but false emotions appearing real. Or if you want to look at it the other way, you need to face everything and rise, but that requires courage. Now, what did Bob usually teach us about courage? He said, I think it was probably Earl Nightingale, I think, when he said, the opposite of courage is not cowardice, it's conformity. You don't have to be like everybody else. It's okay if you are the unique person that you are. Everybody's unique.
But
You
we
need
are
to
unique.
embrace you
Yes.
need to embrace your uniqueness. So when you look at babies and toddlers, they're always resilient. Why adults aren't, right? Bob described, if you look at a baby, or growing into the toddler
Falls
stage,
down, gets up.
it bangs, it bleeds, as he stated,
Oh my God, you sounded just like him right now.
but he never gives up. The baby
That's
is
right.
so resilient
Right.
that it will keep on doing what it decided to do.
Yes.
Failure by 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 the by the time that you're born never existed. Just understand that it's a conditioning. You are born winners. When we look at nature, God has given mankind dominion over this earth. Why? Did
But we don't
anybody ask
study
why?
that. We don't study that. We don't look at as we're that powerful, right? We look on the outside to create the changes we need, when the changes we need is right within us, because we really create how we feel. We become stronger just based on how we feel within us. What's outside of us is not making us stronger. It's our own mind, our own thoughts, right? Our own actions.
I remember a quote by, I think it was when JFK one time asked Victor von Braun, and he told him, what would it take for our men, to get into the spaceship, reach to the moon, and come back safely? He only said four
Yeah,
words: the will to
the
do
will
it.
to do it.
You know, and who was a Steve Bow said. He says God's gift to us is more talent and ability that we'll ever hope to use in our lifetime. And our gift to God is to develop as much of that talent and ability as we can in this lifetime. And Bob always said, it doesn't matter if you feel you don't have the ability to continue. Just like the junk man asked a mining engineer, someone who had the specialized knowledge, in order to proceed into fulfilling his dream. If you can't find the talent and ability, you can acquire it if you're willing, whether through yourself or through another. But that doesn't mean that you should stop and give up. Where there is a will, there's a way.
There's a way, for sure, for sure. And that's what really we have to remember in the midst of adversity, is really having the strength to know if you have the will to make it through. and you look at the, I believe even for myself, when I tapped into my true purpose, what am I here to do? How can I make a difference in this world? And go after what I know to be part of the gifts that I hold. It gives me the strength to overcome the adversity. Asking for help. I mean, people, I know there's two things that we don't like to do. One is ask for help, and one is say, I'm sorry. So, even in the midst of adversity, those things are so important to give you strength to move forward, right? Sometimes we don't realize that the adversity that we're in is trying to teach us a lesson. And, that is one of the biggest things that I took away from my adversity. It's like I've learned a lot of lessons from my adversity. And so hence why it is meant for us to grow, and not be stuck in it and not look back and say, why me? And become a victim of it, to take the lessons and move on, because it just truly made me a better person when I look back.
It reminds me of another story. Again, I'm going to go back to Bob, a, a
What
man
you
of my
do.
inspiration.
That's right.
And, his story was that he owed $6,000 and he was earning $4,000 a year. He said, if I had to basically collect for a year and a half, 18 months straight, without spending any money, he could have paid all his debts. But when he received Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, from a very good friend of his, Ray Stanford, and Ray was a changed man, and he saw how Ray Stanford was changed. And Ray would pull out his bundle of cash, and Bob used to say, like, "Wow, I've never seen a stack of cash like that before." So he mentioned to Bob, "Have you ever seen me at any time that I was broke?" He goes, "No." He said, "Have you ever seen me at any time that I was sick?" He says, "No." He said, "Have you ever seen me at any time that I was sad?" He said, "No." He said, "Then you must be the most miserable person I've ever met." So he gave Bob Think and Grow Rich, and he told him, "I want you to really follow this book, follow the instructions in this book, apply them." That's something that really changed his life. And he said, I started, I said, I read the book, and I followed the instructions in the book. And then I gave a goal to myself that I gave myself a decade to collect $25,000, and I had it on my gold card. And I said, for what I will do in exchange, I'm going to start cleaning floors. He said, I'm not proud. I'm going to go clean floors. So he bought a machine. He borrowed the money from his grandma, which he was never going to, it was difficult for him to, he didn't think he was ever going to give her back. And he went to start cleaning offices. So as he was going through, one day in midday, as he was walking down the street in the city, he collapsed. He collapsed out of exhaustion. He woke up, opened his eyes, found himself surrounded by people. And they were asking him, are you okay? And it's like he didn't know what really hit him. But that didn't let him be the reason to stop. This is what I want to get into here. He was resilient enough to continue with full faith, looking at his goal card, holding on to that vision, exercising that plan into action. And he said it wasn't very long until he was introduced to people whom he partnered with. And it wasn't very long after that that he was operating in 5 different cities in 2 different continents.
Yeah.
He said the very first year, I took it to over $175,000. And within the second year, he took it to over $1 million. That's the difference. That's the resilience you need to have. That's the commitment you need to put down. You never know. If he would have stopped the day he collapsed, he would not have earned all the wealth and abundance that he dreamed of having.
He had absolutely the will and the desire, the burning desire, like we
Burning
studied,
desire.
to be resilient, to keep going no matter what, right? And to trust. And also, it's so important, like he made connections, right? He opened
Yes.
himself to people to get help, to help him grow that business. So, when we say we're never alone, we're never alone. You have
No.
to open up yourself to receive because everything that we need is already here. Nothing is created or destroyed. It's already here. That's what another thing he says to us, right?
And he
Everything that
says,
we
oh,
need.
sorry, go ahead.
Now, I was just say everything we need is never created or destroyed. It's already here. It's just
That's
someone
all.
needs to get on that frequency of receiving it.
Absolutely. And he said something else as well. And it stuck in my head for the greater good.
Mhm.
He always said, give freely and graciously receive. Give freely and graciously receive. Whoever's offering you anything, there's a reason that you may not understand, but don't let your ego stop your way from receiving the good, that it may fulfill something else in your life.
So beautiful. And of course, I always say the only way to receive, giving is a way to receive.
Yes.
So that was so beautiful. So I hope everyone, I mean, we're going to take it down to a landing. This was a beautiful show. Thank you, Ahmed, for sharing your
Thank
wisdom.
you.
And again, everyone, I hope you took down some notes because being resilient and having resilience is only going to help us to grow and become a better version of ourselves every day. And in the midst of adversity, know that there's something better out there, spurting from the seed because of the adversity that we go through. So thank you everyone for watching. And until next time, I'm your host, Giovanna Tartarone.
I'm your co-host, Ahmed Bahman. See you next week.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for joining me on Sparking Change for Harmonious Living. I hope that our episode today has ignited a spark within you to create positive change in your own life and in the world around you. To learn more about how you can become a guest or supporter, head over to sparkingchangenow.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing, sharing, and leaving a review. Your feedback is incredibly valuable to me, and it helps me to continue producing content that sparks change in each of us and the world. You can find us on various platforms, including Google Play Store, Apple App Store, YouTube, Facebook, Roku, Android TV, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Thank you again for watching, and I look forward to having you join me again next week on Sparking Change for Harmonious Living.